Beautiful, beautiful. So we'll start in just a second. Yay! All right, everybody, welcome back to a beautiful, amazing Monday where we are going to celebrate you living your best life, because that's what Your Own University is about. We go through those learning experiences and we sometimes they're thrown upon us and we just have to make decisions. And oh, there I'm hearing myself. So let me pause that. And other times we get to choose how we're going to learn and what we want to learn and where we're going to invest our time and our energy. And there's some good places to do it and some not so good places to do it. So this show is all about helping you find those places in your life and be inspired by people who have found those places in their lives to live authentically, even if it's against the grain, even if it's something completely left or right of what your mom and dad said. And so this is really, really cool. Today, I am here with Julie, who has Mythica's name on the screen. Ignore that because this is actually...
I can change it.
I
learned this weekend.
Yes. This is Mythica's from last week, who gave amazing tools of visualization and goals. So totally watch that character interview. You'll love it. But this is her love. Obviously, she's here, and so I had to make that joke. So now y'all know that. But what I love about Julie and her truth is her deep conversation and her wacky attitude and personality too. I mean, you'll see the picture of this. She has this crazy hat on. In other pictures, she has bright pink hair. She is a massage therapist. She is a violinist, or it's a cello. What is it? It's an all of that. It's a beautiful musician, I should say. And there you go. Wow.
Hi.
Hi.
Vanna.
So Vanna will do this over here. And she really plays from her heart, and she speaks her truth. And she can go deep into conversations that I think a lot of people shy away from. And this is something that I really love about Julie. And I also love the way that you ask questions about everything, and you deeply ask those questions, and your authentic curiosity about people, and or at least about me. So that's why I have asked her to come on and just share lessons from her own university with us, and things that she has learned to help her live her authentic truth and trust her life and step forward into that. And so welcome.
Thank you.
To Your Own University TV series of whatever we're going to call it. Lives lived brilliantly. So go ahead and tell the audience a little bit about you. I'm going to share this around now that we're live.
Well, it's really fun to hear your thoughts about how I come across, because we all think of ourselves so differently than the rest of the world thinks of us.
Yeah.
We have so much self-criticism, and I don't know, it's just such a different paradigm perspective inside here than the outside looking at you.
Yeah.
So the things that you said about me are the things that I strive for.
Yes. And that means you're doing a good job. We didn't go over this, everybody. I don't tell anybody what I'm thinking about them before I just jump into the interview. And I don't read scripts when it comes to bios. Yeah.
So I am a massage therapist. Oh, it's been 13 years now that I've been a massage therapist. And in the last, I don't know, 6-ish years, maybe, I've added energy work to that. And in my childhood, I was always very shy and quiet and observant, and I learned a lot from observing others. And there were certain mile markers throughout my life that were like growth points, like significant growth points that brought me out of my shell a little bit more, a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And we were talking the other day about being an introvert and an extrovert, because
right,
I was talking to her and Mythica, and we are talking about how she's the introvert,
right.
Mythica's the extrovert.
Mhm.
And I think everybody explains introverts a little bit differently. And I know when I learned that my primary is introverted, when I got to that acceptance within myself, because I'm not shy a bit, um, but I also don't want to like go to a big party. I'd rather sit down with one or two people and like have a deep conversation or go in nature and be alone, right? So
Yeah.
how did you come to that, since you're bringing it up? Like, what
Well,
has that
I
given
feel
you?
like as time goes on, I've been coming from uh, introverted to more extroverted.
Mm.
Um, but I guess it's a shyness and embarrassment um, that I kind of grew up with. And um, I did ballet for 15 years growing up. And towards the end of that, I was the lead role in a performance that was more playful and not as classical.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a story that's more popular in Europe than in the United States. It's called The Adventures of Cipollino. And Cipollino is an onion boy, and his girlfriend Radish. The two of them go on adventures together. You know, and there's like the bad guy is Prince Lemon, and he makes all these ridiculous rules, and so anyway, I was Cipollino, the onion boy, and that role being more animated and less classical ballet really was, I feel, the first stepping stone of coming out of my shy shell.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was probably after that was massage school, either massage school or contra dancing. Those two
Mm-hmm.
also brought me out of my shell another level. Um, contra dancing, I loved ballet, and that was like strictly the only kind of dance I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But my ex-husband brought me to a contra dance, and it was every Monday, and the closeness of partner dancing was uncomfortable to me,
Mm.
but the people were so wonderful, so welcoming, so nice, and I just wanted to be around those people. So I would come and I would like dance every other one. I liked watching more than I liked actually dancing, but eventually it sneaked in there, and I learned to like it a lot. And I was one of the big contra dancers who like went all to all the different cities when a band came through town, and um, that really brought me out of my shell.
And contra dancing is super fun, but not many people know what contra
Right.
dancing is. So I do, because my mom would take me to contra dancing
Uh-huh.
when I was a kid,
Yeah.
and Morris team,
Yeah.
right? But you know, that's being
Yeah.
raised
So
in a community. So what
it's
is it for those
it's a
that
type of
can't picture like what it is?
right. It's a type of folk dance that's similar to square dance. Some of the same moves, like swing your partner and do-si-do, but there's a different formation. You're pretty much dancing with the whole room. You travel with your partner, and you dance with the next couple coming at you, and you progress through the line so that you're dancing with the next couple and the next. And there's a live band playing music and a caller telling you what to do next. It's pretty beginner friendly, and it's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, for sure. All
um,
right, keep
but
going.
then massage school was another level of getting me out of my shell. That becoming more comfortable with my own body, because you trade with each other in class, you practice on each other. And then also with massage, you have to actually speak to your client and be the authority. Like, you're the one viewed as knowing what you're doing, the professional, right? I remember when my teacher gave us our speech on graduation day, and she said, people are now going to view you as a professional. And I was like, no, I'm not ready for that. I do not feel like a professional. I don't know anything. I'm not ready.
Yeah.
So my massage career has been huge in bringing me into my.
So you hit on something that as soon as you hit on it, I was like, oh, that is definitely one of the things that I see in you that is so beautiful. And I think something that we all strive for, and I think a really great conversation for everybody, especially in this like quarantine health and awareness and everything, is comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah.
Is being comfortable in your body.
I was
and
not
and that journey
growing up.
Yeah. So you said that you switched into it, and now, I mean, I would assume that you're pretty comfortable in your body, being that your wife paints you.
I'm coming to that. I haven't gotten to that one yet, but yes, that was another level of opening up.
Yeah. For me, like, there's a bazillion reasons why I want to meet Mythica, but before I knew Mythica as my friend, it was just like, oh, there's this opportunity to go through this healing event, with parts of my body that I would expose through pain. Like, I cry. Like, this is my relationship with my own body. And I, have gone through cancer and stuff like that. And I think that I have a really good relationship with my body, like in my skin and whatever. But I think that a lot of people are really having to look at our relationship with our immune systems and our wellness and our health and just being comfortable in our own skin. So will you share with us just a little bit about your journey into that? Because I do see you steps ahead of many people.
Wow, my brain went in like 5 different directions there. You wanted to know about how, repeat your question.
So you said that, like, when you were playing that role and when you're doing the contra dancing and then in the massage, that you continue to become more comfortable in your body.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean? And what does that feel like for somebody that went from uncomfortable in your body or like kind of out to somebody who I would see is definitely more in than out?
Physically, I haven't had as much problem throughout my life. There were a couple of things about my body that I didn't like, but I learned that. Actually, somebody told me once, everybody has something about their body that they're like, oh, I hate my thighs, or I hate this, or blah, blah. And somebody told me those are lessons for us to learn how to have tolerance, because if you can't have tolerance for yourself, how can you have tolerance for somebody else?
Beautiful. Wow. I've never thought of it that way. Yeah.
And similarly, something came up this weekend, of like, a lot of people have like negative self-talk. And so 2 friends were chatting, and friend A was negative self-talk, saying bad things about herself. And friend B was like, hey, don't say all those bad things about my friend.
Mm-hmm.
And that really stuck with her. Like, oh, I'm the friend. I'm saying bad things about somebody, like myself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
And so to think of yourself as your friend, like, how would you give somebody else advice when they're in a situation like you're in?
Yeah. Yeah. And how would you love their, like, we're not hypercritical usually, not some of us I guess aren't, but usually people aren't as hypercritical of other people than they are
Yeah,
themselves.
right.
Yeah.
But for me, it was more so speaking. I embarrassed my mom when I was a child because people would like introduce themselves to me and want to have a conversation, and I hid behind my mom's leg and I would not say a word. And and then my mom was super embarrassed because her daughter wasn't like interacting like a person, you know, like, and um and that has, you know, it's taken a lot of years to overcome that. But there, like I was saying, certain events in my life have helped me to grow, particularly in the massage company that I work for called Symmetry Therapeutic Massage. The two owners are both massage therapists, and they run their business in such a great way that they really care about your personal well-being and growth in your practice and in your personal life.
Mm-hmm.
And so they really took me under their wing when I came. And like when I came to Symmetry, I had 7 years of massage experience under my belt. I could give a good massage, but my confidence level and my speaking ability were completely lacking.
Mm-hmm.
My client would come out of the room and I would almost be like apologetic, like, I hope you liked your massage, you know?
Yeah.
And one of the things that one of the directors, Brandy, said to me about that was like, well, why don't you put yourself in your client's shoes? And what are they looking for when they are coming for a massage? They see, again, like my the director of my massage school said, they see you as a professional and they see you as knowledgeable, and they come to you seeking help. And so another one of the owners said, like, I had a problem. I said, if I ever worked for myself, I would not be in business for very long because I wouldn't want to charge anybody, you know, because
Mm-hmm.
I know that I couldn't afford to get massage as much as I need it at full price. And so it's difficult for me to ask that of other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so it took me a long time to come around. I am in practice for myself now, as well as working for Symmetry. I even raised my prices, and you know, so I've come a long way. Um, but what Kina said to me was, it would be presumptuous to assume what's in my client's wallet or what's on their calendar. You know?
Mm-hmm.
To
Yeah.
assume that they can't fit it into their schedule or that they can't afford it. That's not my business. It is my job to give my expertise,
Mm-hmm.
to tell them, in your situation, what I've found, it would be ideal for you to come back in, you know, 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
And would that work for you? Right? And so,
And let them make that decision. I
right.
think it's so beautiful that the embodiment that you're talking about is embodying other aspects. Like the growth happened in, well, I'm a shy kid and I didn't know how to fully communicate. So I'm learning. I had very similar to that where I was raised in an environment where we yelled. I mean, that was like pretty much we either avoided or we were screaming at each other. And that was how we communicated. So to learn nonviolent communication, to learn boundaries and anti-codependence and stuff, like that was a whole genre of thing. And once I dropped the fact that I didn't know how to do it, like I was supposed to know, right? Like it was naturally in my DNA to like have this different personality. Then it was like, oh, I can learn that. And now it's definitely an embodiment. Right. And I love that you bring those two together. And I love that you're talking about worth. I had a similar experience this week too. So maybe this is like the main core of the topic is I had a client that wanted to pay. I'm doing right now a COVID thing where I'm giving discounts, significant discounts, and I'm letting people do pay as you can, you know, like schedule your 12 sessions whenever you want, not week after week and I charge automatically, you know, like I don't know, drop-in therapist. And so I had a woman who's doing this and she wanted to do my whole course, right? All 12 sessions and weekly, right? But pay at this discounted rate and not get the stuff online and whatever. And then the second week came along and something happened with her credit card. That's fine. Like, totally respect that. But she got upset with me because I wouldn't meet with her
Oh,
for free and give
no.
her my time, my expertise, you know, my all before my value was met. And at first I was like, oh, no, that's not what I meant, blah, blah, blah. And I started backpedaling and doing the like, give away
Mm,
your services for free because I give a ton away. And then I was like, I texted her back after I backpedaled a minute and I was like, you know what? No, like, thank you so much for letting me stand in my power. Like, like you know, what's happening with your credit card sucks. You are definitely not a payment for me. Like this is, if it was about the money, I'd be not giving you 50% off and I wouldn't be bending the rules here, right? Like this was about you getting help. But at the same time, like I'm already devaluing where I normally am because of what's happening in the world. And I'm not going to devalue. I mean, I have a master's, I almost have a PhD in this. I've developed these courses for value. I'm good at what I do, right? So I think it's so important that when we do step into a career, when we do step into an expertise, when we are a professional in something, that we don't devalue ourselves.
right.
And I think that this is a normal thing that we all need to learn how to do because as kids, I don't think that we're taught it.
It's a huge struggle for me. And it's not so much like I have come to the understanding of my value. And for me, it doesn't feel like a matter of value. It feels like an empathetic, I love what I do, and everyone deserves to receive massage. And I don't want to take it away from them, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just been a struggle. But then there's also, just turning my volume off. Yeah. It's, where was I going? I got derailed. um,
It's also been a struggle, is the last thing that you said.
um, let's just move on from that thought. It left the building.
It happens. It happens. So you discovered what you didn't know. So you discovered that you needed to learn how to communicate. And that helped you not apologize
Right,
for the professionalism and the value that you bring
right,
to work. And it also helped you to not apologize for a cost. And just like therapy, I mean, there's basic guidelines, right? Unless you're like Tony Robbins, $10,000 for a minute, right?
right,
Like there's common charges, right? A massage is 165 or 125 or 90 or whatever. I don't know what the massages are there in Colorado. They're about 145 here, I think.
yeah. Well, it depends on if you're in a fancy mountain ski town or Denver,
Right. And then there's that. Yeah. Same goes for like yoga, right? Like my couples yoga and private yoga classes are more like a massage. They're very private, they're individualized, where a class is going to be a lot cheaper if it's a group, and not individualized at all. So, but there's a standard, is basically what I'm getting at. Sorry, everybody, I'm rambling, but there's a standard. So, I think being able to stand in that value is super important. What was the biggest thing that has helped you? You learned how to communicate and not apologize. What else?
uh, well, I wanted to mention an acronym that my friend and I came up with of PAL, PAL, presence, allow, and listen. And when you embody those, then you are a pal.
Mm-hmm.
um, and so there's this deep level of listening that is not just with your ears, it's with your whole being, that you can't have if you are not present.
Mm-hmm.
And the allowing versus forcing is something that I've really contemplated a lot in the last few years. Um, there was a time when my ex-husband and I moved from Denver to his hometown of Charlotte, North Carolina, and we really didn't want to leave Denver, but there was an opportunity for us over there, and then we got to love the Contra dance community there. So, we made a life there, but I still felt a pull to come back to Denver. And I was like, when we first moved there, I was depressed for like a month because of the life we left behind, and I didn't know anybody. And then after wanting and wanting to move back to Denver, I finally gave in and decided we wanted to buy a house. So we started looking to buy a house in Charlotte. And when we finally allowed ourselves to stay in Charlotte, then the opportunity came, the door opened for us to move back to Denver. My ex-husband's boss in Denver was like, "You can't buy a house in Denver. I thought you were going to come back and work for me again." And so
You can't buy a house in
in Charlotte if you're going to work for me in Denver.
I followed.
So it was like I needed to stop forcing that desire to move back to Denver. Once you let that go, then the opportunity comes. Does that make sense?
I like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Once,
So
but
that comes to the
that,
acceptance piece.
like that saying, you can't solve a problem with the same mind that created it. There's a certain frequency of your thoughts that are thinking the question or the problem. And then there's another frequency of finding the answer or the solution. And so if your mind is stuck on the problem, you're not in the right mind space or frequency to receive the answer.
Yeah. And it doesn't tend to manifest either.
Right.
Like the more I can just remove myself and allow things to happen, the more joy I have. And so it's beautiful. So there's presence,
Right.
and then there's allowance, and then there's listening.
Deep level of listening that is present in massage and energy work, but also everything in life. That if you really want to connect with somebody, there's subtleties to listen to that aren't just the words that you're speaking.
So what are some of those so people can begin looking for them or being present to them?
There's actually, so this weekend we just did a camp that's normally in person in Tennessee, but we couldn't do that, so it was over Zoom. And there's this musician that is a mentor to me. I love his philosophy on life, and he's an extremely talented musician. His name is Victor Wooten. He's a bass player. He's won multiple Grammy Awards. And he's the bass player in the band Bela Fleck and the Flecktones. He runs summer camps every year. And he also wrote one of my favorite books. I don't see it up there, but it's called The Music Lesson, A Spiritual Search for Growth Through Music. And that book really probably started my journey of self-growth, like conscious self-growth. Probably I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years ago. Nice. And I read his book over and over. I don't even know how many times, because there was so much packed in there that I wanted to remember. Anyway, so his Spirit of Music camp was last weekend, and there was so much packed into that applied to this topic. How am I authentically me? And now that I talked about Victor Wooten, I can't remember what the question was.
We were talking about listening, and I asked,
oh, right.
What are the different levels? So people can start listening from those different levels. Besides, we think listen what we say. We think listen through their expressions or whatever. But we all know that person that always has a smile on their face that is dying inside,
Yeah, there's also that energy that you can feel when you walk into a room. Maybe if somebody was just having an argument, you can cut the tension with a knife, right? Mm-hmm. Or another time you walk into a room full of people and you see somebody across the room that you've never met, and you're like, wow, I really feel like I could connect with that person. I want them to be my friend, but you've never met them before. Mm-hmm. How do you know that? There's this energy that we don't see, but we feel, and a lot of people haven't acknowledged it or haven't noticed it, or they push it aside.
Yeah.
And so becoming more attuned or in tune with the subtleties is a whole nother level of listening. And you can understand what somebody is saying through what their words are saying.
Yeah.
So there's this part in Victor's book where he's talking about music, but you can apply it to anything in life. He's talking about how a lot of musicians will take a piece of music, or even if they're improvising, and they want to control where the notes are going. They want to have that, they maybe are subconsciously having a one-sided relationship with music. When you're having a conversation and we humans tend to want to always have the last word, or we know what we want to say in response. And so we're thinking about what we want to say and not really listening to what they're saying. Mm-hmm. And so that happens in music too. When people have an idea of where they want the notes to go, they're not allowing music to have a say. Every note, that was big, right? Every note
has a say.
Every note has a whole world or personality within it. Mm-hmm. And say one phrase that ends a piece of music, if you were to put different notes in there, it would say something different. And so to allow yourself to just be open to what comes and listen on that deeper level, just allow yourself to be guided by music. is a complete relationship, not a one-sided relationship. And if you, again, with the individual notes having a whole personality and a story to tell, if you just listen to what it has to say, it will guide you in the right direction, right? Well, I took that whole concept and applied it to my massage practice. Just replaced the word note with muscle. Every muscle has a personality and a story to tell, right? And if you listen to what the muscle is telling you, then it will guide you in the right direction. It will tell you what it needs, either like go a little bit over this way, or a little bit softer, or a little bit deeper, or back off, you know. And so a lot of massage therapists have that one-sided relationship. An agenda for your session is what I call it. And they get stuck in what they know in their head, like they learned in school. If you have this problem, do X, Y, and Z, you know. But that puts it into a box and doesn't fully take care of the problem, because the body's telling you something that their mouth didn't tell you.
Yeah. And the body holds all of our memories. It is our nervous system. It's our body holds our truth forward too. I mean, I love the book The Body Keeps the Score, but there's so many, all of Louise Hay's books. I work so much with the psychology of the body. It's incredible. So being able to know your body and then work with somebody that can do that for themselves is priceless. Back to value.
Right. There was another point in there that you said about listening to your body. I have a whole list of things here that I wanted to, I've been planning and thinking, because I'd never thought before about how am I authentically me. So, but I said, one way of listening is when you have a gut feeling about something. Sometimes we choose to ignore that, or because we don't want to go that way. But
I don't know if we ignore it, but we just choose to go against it. I know I catch myself doing that. I'm like, yeah, but I really want it.
I just did that today. You know?
Like, I'm consciously going against what is supposedly my highest good. Yeah.
It's a constant reminder. The lesson comes back around and around for us to listen deeper. But yeah, when you, there's the next thing was when somebody says something, you can physically feel whether you agree or disagree. Particularly, like if somebody were to insult you, if you personally agree with that, you're going to feel it. Like you're going to, there was a different way of saying that. Specifically, I remember not long ago when somebody said something to me in a certain way. Why did you do that? Like, well, I wasn't trying to be stupid. Like but my ego reacted and said, well, because I'm stupid, you know, and I know that I'm not, but when I said that, my body I could feel it physically in my whole body.
Yeah.
Like I just insulted myself. You know? My ego just insulted me somehow. You know?
You just took on something that you honestly don't even agree with, but it was like some old news from an old pattern from like
acting out of my ego, like childishly, you know. But my point was that I physically felt it in my body. Like my body was reacting back, like I was in an argument with my own body or my own self.
So I think that we've all done this. I know,
Mm-hmm.
I do. And I feel like it's a proving response that comes up immediately. It's a defensive response that comes up
Right.
immediately, or shame or guilt, right? Like those are
Mm-hmm.
the big ego, like boom, we're gonna like do one of these three, four things, I guess. And then, but if we could listen to our bodies from a place of and our reactions and our words from a place of acceptance, right? Then we can be present, and then we can say, "Oh, ego, like let's," because ego's not bad; it just is. Like, oh, let's speak about ourselves this way, or let's react a different way, or let's act a different way. Um, that more embodies your truth now. So, how would you go about shifting this or doing this? I want to keep it like we're really talking about the same thing. We're talking about embodiment, we're talking about value, and we're talking about just noticing and listening not only to ourselves but also to other people, but through the practice of being present and listening to yourself, right? And how those little things shift. So that's like the core of this conversation. And when you do that, it increases your value because you can increase your effectiveness in the world. So it would be like the biggest thing to like begin wrapping up this conversation that somebody can put into practice that would help them to come out of their shell, to claim their value in whatever their profession or means, like financial value, that's what we're talking about. And um and really start to trust themselves.
I've heard all kinds of different but similar quotes or statements around one of them being growth happens at the end of your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And so, um, for me, being on a continual growth path, I being authentically me is growth and seeking how to be the best possible version of myself.
Yeah.
And so that means putting myself in uncomfortable positions. Like I said, that I grew up very shy and quiet. I have gotten a lot better in the last like 6 or so years that I worked at Symmetry, but I still struggle with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I have come full circle in the classes I was taking when I first got to Symmetry. I'm now teaching,
Yeah.
but there's still times when I have a class of people in front of me and I freeze up. And I might teach a really terrible class because I was afraid of doing it a certain way that I didn't want. And I ended up doing exactly that because that's where my focus was. Again, with the like, your problem is on a certain frequency and you focus on the problem, that's what you're going to bring to you. That's what you're going to manifest.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just true.
uh,
Even if you focus on the solution to the
yeah,
problem, you're still focusing on the problem. Therefore, you're still going to manifest more problem to continuously bring the solution to.
unless you
That's been the
completely,
challenging one for me of
you have
letting
to
that go.
completely like get rid of the box. You know, think outside the box, throw the box away. And like,
Mm-hmm.
um, it often comes when you're not expecting it or how you're not expecting it. There was a time that I had the opportunity to, I used to do aerial fabric, aerial dance, circus stuff. And the woman that I used to do that with, she um, made a few portable rigs that you can hang any aerial circus apparatus from. And I wanted it, and it was, I don't know, $2,000 or something. And I didn't have the money. So then, I tried to, okay, here's this. If you don't keep focusing on it, just, I'd like to manifest this aerial fabric rig that I want. We'll just put that thought aside and keep living our life. Then I had recently split up with my ex-husband, and in order to get the house that we bought in my own name, I had to refinance.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing that, I actually got money through the refinance process, and the new mortgage company was gonna like give me the first month free, and all this stuff through that refinancing gave me the exact amount of money that I needed for that aerial fabric rig.
Perfect.
Like the money I saved up for the next month's rent I didn't need, that was one piece. And the money that I got from the closing, that was one piece. And each of those weren't enough, but there was, I think, a third thing that all put together was exactly what I needed, and not in the form that I was expecting.
Yeah. It doesn't ever come in the form that I expected.
Right.
Like I really want it to too. I really want it to.
With energy work, with
manifestation,
manifestation,
so upset. Like
you can't put it in a box.
It's still like gets to my heart a little bit. It's like right here. It's like, oh, I so want it to come. This is the way that it's gonna come in. And it doesn't.
That's gonna push it away.
It's just a different way. So I love this. So let's give one action step. Is there one action step? I guess you just gave it, like just get out of the box.
Yeah.
Just be open to things showing up however they show up. I think the main lessons that we learned here at Your Own University today, and just tell me if I'm summarizing correctly, is one, it's really important to be present.
Yep.
With who you are and able to listen. This is just Mythica, you guys. Like she has to be in the show. And then she loves to kiss on Julie. So we just gotta like accept it.
We're wrapping this up. Hold on.
Let us wrap it up. We're almost there. But but really that importance of knowing what you want, and in order to embody it, being really able to shift your focus onto something else while holding your value.
Right. And that's also how I stay so healthy. And when somebody else around me is sick, I don't get sick. And if I do get sick, my way of dealing with it is, I would call denial. I'm not sick. This is just how my body's reacting to being dehydrated, and I'm going to drink a lot of water, and I'm going to focus on playing music or something that gets my mind off of this sore throat, and I'm not going to put my attention to being sick. I'm going to put my attention on something else. Takes my mind off of it.
Yeah. And then the opportunity, like your story, getting back to Denver, the opportunities open up for your body to be well, or whatever to manifest, or the monies to come in for your dream thing, like however it rolls in. I love that. I really love that. And I think it's tangible. I think that standing in your value in your profession is so huge. And I think that being present to that and really understanding from a place of like, does this make me feel uncomfortable? Or does it make things open up? Does it make me focus on the problem or the solution to the problem? My wanted path solution.
Right.
Or is it allowing me to just accept what is and be present with what is? I think all of that is just, we could listen to this over and over, and I'm sure just continuously pull your gems out of out of this interview. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our listening audience?
Well, it's funny coming from such a shy background of introvert and being this is the first time somebody's done this with me, or that I've done this.
Yeah.
And like been interviewed on a live show or whatever. And I still have a lot more to say when our time is up, right? I don't want it to be over. And at the same time, Mythica is not on the screen, but is very present on the other side of the screen because she wants to share with everybody the artwork that she did last night.
Oh my gosh. You know what, Julie? I'm going to tell Mythica no. Because this is your show. And Mythica can come on and share her stuff. And she could post it all over Your Own University's page too. I will welcome her to do that. And we will link it in with her show from last week. But yeah, I'm going to hold my ground there. Because this is really your value, and I love you, and I love Mythica too. And I think that's just a prime example of embodying your wholeness.
Right?
Take that on from the driving force that Mythica is. All right. I think that's pretty much it. So I just want to thank you so much. Thank you for
welcome.
The show. Like this, the wisdom of you stepping into yours is so beautiful, and manifesting what you want and standing in your value is truly, truly priceless. And is there any place that people can get a hold of you? Like if they want massage and they're in the Denver area, like how could they get a hold of you?
Facebook Messenger.
Okay.
You have my name, right? You can find me on Facebook.
Okay.
Email, phone. If you want me to like put my phone number and email in your link to this, or
you can. Who knows, right? You could get some weird phone calls
but
though. Let's just
probably
keep Facebook Messenger.
Facebook Messenger is probably best.
Yeah, because it's safe, because we have people listening from all over the world. So I don't want you to get a whole bunch of phone calls that aren't in the Denver area. Yeah. All right. I love you. Thank you so much for being you.
It's been a really great opportunity. I've never, like I said, never thought about like, how am I authentically me? It's a good thing for anybody to think about. And what does it mean to you to be authentic? That probably means something different to everybody.
Everybody. Yeah. And we all have our own formula and
So
how we got to where we are, right?
Yeah.
And it's always continuously growing, but how we got to where we are.
Yeah, it was really fun to think over the last couple of weeks. What is that for me?
That is so cool. So cool. Well, thank you for sharing, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me.